Hey everybody, welcome to the webcast. We've got clear skies here in the southern plains, so not a whole lot going on here, but up north there has definitely been some weather. This has been kind of a historic winter for parts of the Great Lakes and Northeast. So let's take a look at what happened earlier today. This is showing the radar starting around noon. And we roll that forward, and you can see snow bands across parts of eastern Wisconsin and out there in Michigan. Also getting some mixed precip out there. And then further to the south, we're looking at more of liquid precip. But you can see that the wraparound has hit northern Wisconsin there pretty hard. And it was only until this afternoon that we finally got the dry slot moving in and clearing things out there. Totals, we've had 23 inches there in Green Bay, located about right here. And that comes pretty close to the all-time record snowfall, which was 29 inches back in March 1888. And there has been damage in that area, and there's a report in Ashwaubenon of a Econo Lodge roof collapse due to snow. And this is kind of a zoomed out look, and we'll just go ahead and bring up the isobars and thickness there. And we can see we've got a pretty deep system there moving through the Cleveland and Toledo area. The main area of baroclinicity is down in the Carolinas. Cold front located from there down to Florida, and then a warm front extending across Virginia all the way out to the Atlantic there. So this is how the fronts look at this hour. The high pressure is focused up there in Quebec and Ontario, bringing that cold air southwestward, and we've got a bit of ridging coming out into the plains, and you can see that area of low thickness across Iowa and Illinois there, 528 decameters, indicating some very cold air in place. And I'll try to sample the Scoot right in that area. Also, we have a new Pacific system coming on shore. There it is, moving through the central California area, approaching southern California, and then we're looking at a warm front somewhere over the Great Basin area, and that probably links back up to our other system, kind of like that right there. And we don't really put the front through here because this is an area of frontalysis where the fronts are falling apart. All this is high pressure. The air is diverging, moving across, and that spreads apart the temperature contrasts. So any fronts that are lying through that area that tend to weaken, and it can be very difficult to find them. But on the other side, very likely we're starting to see a warm front come together somewhere in West Texas or down in the Rio Grande area. So we have a pretty good idea where the upper level jets are going to be. Let me put the fronts back on there. And we've probably got a bit of an included front coming all the way up to the Great Lakes there. So we're going to expect to find the upper level jet coming from the Pacific. Let me find a good color here. I guess we'll go with yellow. So that's going to come right in behind that cold front into northern California. And you can see down below the thickness lines are packed very close together. And the jet is indeed there because of that temperature contrast down in the lower levels. And we're likely going to be seeing another front somewhere in the Central Plains coming down towards Georgia, Alabama, and likely heading out across New England, something like that right there. So we should expect to find two waves there, one long wave trough off the west coast and another one in the Mississippi and Ohio River region. So let's see how well that correlates. And keep in mind that this is for this morning around 6 o'clock. So we do find a trough there, a little bit to the west there, but again, that was 12 hours ago. So this is going to correlate to that colder air. And the jet looks fairly close. Looks like it goes a little bit more north than what we were expecting there. Quite possibly the pattern has shifted a bit. However, the basic patterns pretty well match up right there. So these are located just north, along and just north of the frontal zones, and we only very rarely find the polar front jet south of those fronts. Okay, let's see what other charts we have. Let me go down to 850 and we'll see what's happening to the moisture return. We've got a north flow across the western Gulf there, so we are advecting the moisture away from the coast there, and dew points are all the way down to about 20 to 15 Fahrenheit there, so has dried off quite a bit there. To find the moisture, we have to go all the way out to Florida, and out there the dew points at 850 are running about 60 Fahrenheit around the Tallahassee area, and about 54 there at Key West. We can also pick out the 850 millibar fronts. There's one right there. Keep in mind, again, this is about 7 o'clock this morning. So there's the 850 millibar front. Ahead of that, temperatures are around 12 to 13 Celsius, and back behind it, temperatures are about 10 to 15 degrees colder. And can't really track the front very well out in the Rockies due to the effects of the terrain. We can't get direct temperature readings, for example. But if we go up to 700 millibars, we can probably lock that in a little bit. Let me go to 700 there. It does look like some of the warm air is infiltrating the Great Basin area. And let's see, can we find a front in here? Might be a bit of a warm front right there, moving through northern Nevada, and the cold front is going to be well offshore, probably off the chart there. We don't have enough data to really figure that out. All right, let me bring up the satellite, and we'll see how things are looking in chat. So there's our very deep storm system there, moving through the eastern Great Lakes, and thunderstorms off the coast there and approaching Miami. So they're probably getting a little bit of something this evening. All right, let's see what we got here in chat. Ron Chalfant, Southern California, reporting cloudy and cool in Southern California. There's Ryan down there in Southern Florida. He's reporting the front coming through that area, gusty winds, lightning, and rain. It is humid there with mid-80s temperatures. We have Fun with Tech and Burl H. Christian Flock checking in from Yukon, Oklahoma. Coleman 57. We have Mike Bexley here and Adam Davis. A pleasant weekend, back to snow for Tuesday. Mike Bexley is reporting it's a rainy day. It stopped for now, only 49 degrees. And Megan John reporting 24 degrees in Minnesota, a foot of snow, and still falling. And let's see here. Megan John looking for 50s by the second half of the weekend. And Shirley Keast is here, heading back to the cold. Mike Estwick reporting 60 degrees, partly cloudy in Denver. So they're going to be underneath that ridging that's affecting that area. You can kind of see it there, little hint of that ridging right there as the Pineapple Express kind of moves northeast from California. And then, of course, we got the trough out in this region here. I don't know if that's showing up. Let me take a look here. Yeah, so we got the troughing in place right here, and so that's going to put New Mexico, Colorado underneath that ridge there. I've also got the visible imagery. Figured I would check that out and see what things look like. Pretty devoid of clouds there in Texas. Picking up some of the cirrus and altocumulus across the Rockies there. as the moisture starts working its way into the western U.S. Next storm system coming in. And then out east, we can see the stratocumulus field. This is largely due to the cold air advection coming in the backside of the system right there. That's fairly humid air and quite cold. And then you can kind of see with the sun angles being kind of low, some higher cloud. This is cirrus and a little bit of altostratus in there. And this is kind of the wraparound there. So the system is right there in Ohio, and the flow is just kind of working its way around that low. So, and then conversely, we've also got the dry sector. So that's an area of very dry conditions in the mid and upper levels, and that's working its way up on the east side of the trough, which is located in this area. So now we're thinking upper level patterns, and that's bringing the dry air just up like that right there. And we should be able to see that on the soundings. So let me bring up a couple of soundings there for the Midwest. We'll go to the northern Illinois site, Lincoln there. And this is how it looks as of the last hour. Very humid in the lower part of the troposphere, but aloft, pretty dry. And let me bring up another sounding here. We'll try Davenport. They're probably a little bit closer to that wraparound. So getting a little bit of moisture in there. And let me go a little bit further to the east. I'm going to try Wilmington. Getting a little bit of dry air in there. Also a little bit of cirrus aloft, and there's that humid layer down below 7,000 feet there. Then I'm going to take that closer to Texas. I'm going to go down to Springfield, Missouri. They should be underneath that ridging. Can make out a very strong frontal inversion there at about 8,000 feet. Plenty of cold air up at about 5,000 or 6,000. This is the cold northwesterly flow coming in. And below that, that's where we have the modification of the air mass going on. So the contact of that air mass with the ground, which should be pretty warm this time of year, that adds heat to the bottom part of the air mass, and that works its way up into the air mass as convection currents. So what starts out as cold gets heated from below, and gradually we modify the air mass from the bottom up. So that's one reason we see this almost dry adiabatic lapse right there. That's an indication of strong modification going on. And if we have enough moisture, we can get cumulus and stratocumulus. And let me do a couple of wild card soundings. I'm going to try going out to Charleston, South Carolina. Now we know that they should be in that tropical zone, the warm air ahead of the cold front, and that does look like the case right there. I'm going to bring down maybe the mid-level part of the sounding. I'm going to bring it down kind of between the dry and moist adiabatic lapse rate, and I get a temperature of about 70 to 75 Fahrenheit, indicating that probably a lot of this air here is tropical. I don't think there's any polar air mixed into that, and quite humid through the column. And let me go down towards Tampa. Tampa is getting close to that front. In fact, let me take a look at the chart, see where that is. Yeah, they're going to be right out ahead of that. So we're showing quite a bit of moisture. Dew points in the low 60s near the ground. However, there's plenty of warm air aloft, so likely the showers that we have in that area are going to be kind of shallow. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the radar. I'm going to have to switch sites here. Let me go down to, this is Melbourne. There's the Melbourne radar. So that's showing the showers moving through the East Coast area. And let me go out all the way to Miami. And they are definitely getting the rain there. And let me see if I can pick up how much precip has fallen. I'm going to bring up the storm total precip. And I guess it's pretty fast moving there. We're only showing about half an inch to 1 inch there. Okay, so I guess we will go ahead and start looking at the forecast since we're about 20 minutes in. Before we do that, I'm going to look at the water vapor imagery real quick there. And this is showing that dry sector right there, kind of moving northward towards the Green Bay area. And again, this is where it would really help to have more soundings, because we've got Lincoln right here, and we have Wilmington there, but there's really not anything in between. And I don't know what we can do to get more radio sound stations in there. We could definitely use the data. That's one of those places where that would be of a lot of help. But I don't know, that's kind of out of my pay grade there. So anyway, we'll go ahead and head into the forecast, and maybe I'll show you the upper level dynamics. So there's the 500 millibar heights and vorticities showing a closed low there over Iowa. And this is the current chart here, so it appears the center of that core is over the Quad Cities area. There's that ridging there in Colorado, extending all the way up to North Dakota, and we can see the next system coming on shore there in California. So we'll roll that forward. Looks like the patterns progress pretty rapidly there. The upper level ridge is already moving away from the plains by Tuesday, and the next trough is approaching from the west. So that trough will be emerging out into Colorado and New Mexico by Tuesday. And this is the area out ahead of that area of high vorticity right here. So this is a region of positive vorticity advection. So we would expect to find pressure falls in that region right there. And also, due to the strong flow coming off the Rockies, that helps amplify that ice skater effect, where you have parcels moving off the mountains and they stretch vertically. Basically, they extend down towards the ground as they move off the mountains, and that stretches the column and increases the vorticity there and helps aid the formation of low pressure zones right there in that lee side region. So we should see lee side troughing really get going in Colorado tomorrow and Tuesday. And then going into Wednesday, looks like this trough is heading for the Central Plains. The jet's going to look something like that right there. Here's the divergent left front quadrant. Here's the convergent left rear quadrant. So this right here in Nebraska and northern Kansas, that's going to favor cyclogenesis. Now it's possible there's already a low there at the surface, but that's going to basically attract that low pressure zone because they move towards areas of pressure falls. And pressure falls are caused by upper level systems like you see here. But there can be other factors, and I think what I may do is I should make a list of some of the factors that influence cyclone and anticyclone movement, because there's some other things like orographics. If you have a low pressure system along the lee side of the mountains like this, they will tend to track southward, equatorward. And that's something I'll have to describe in another webcast here soon. But typically that's the mechanism as they come off the Rockies. They tend to move sort of southeast right there. Then they couple with the moisture coming up off the Gulf. So you add in the latent heat effects. That's going to definitely lower your pressure if you get a lot of latent heat release. Hurricane is a good example of that. And then eventually as they move away from the good moisture in the mountains, then we're favoring mostly the left front quads, for example. The upper level dynamics, those become dominant as they move away from the mountains and the moisture there. And let's see here. I'm going to pick this up with the GFS. However, since it is April, I think we should look at moisture. So I'm going to do the dew point here. And we will roll this forward. So you can see that the Western Gulf is, we're scouring out the moisture there. Dew points in this region are in the low 50s and the upper 40s. And there's that ridging coming in there from the Dakotas. So we don't see things really recover until tomorrow. Now we're starting to see that southerly flow coming up from the Rio Grande up to the western Texas area. And keep an eye on Colorado here. You're going to see that lee side troughing get going. So there's the pressure falls, and we can see the appearance of closed lows there from Trinidad all the way to Denver. And that's, again, due to that jet stream coming out, interacting with the low-level flow there. And meanwhile, we're advecting moisture up into that region right there. So there's those higher dew points, 50s dew points making their way up towards Colorado initially. And the blue that you see down here, this is 60s dew points. So by Tuesday morning, we've probably got the low-level jet established. And I think up here in Kansas, I think we've got a warm front up in this region here. And I believe that this is probably a cold front. So this is how things are coming together there. And we've probably got the dry line also active. In fact, we can plot it since the moisture field is right here. Yeah, there's the dry line right there. Triple point around Russell, extending down towards Clinton and Junction there. So here's 0Z. This is peak heating. Do we have enough ingredients here for thunderstorms? Let me take a look at around the Wichita Falls area. Let me pull up a forecast QT. At first glance, it seems like we would maybe be risking thunderstorms here, but I can see a problem here. Very shallow moisture. Starts out at 62 at the surface, and then by 8:50, you can see that it's dropped all the way down to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And when you have heating acting along that dry line, you're going to mix this lower part of the atmosphere, and that's going to effectively give you a dew point of about, looks like about 47 Fahrenheit. Are you going to get storms with a 47 Fahrenheit temperature? Probably not. So looks like our chances of thunderstorms there on Wednesday may be a problem. However, the wind shear does look pretty good there. Got a bit of a curved photograph there. That's enough to support severe weather. And let's take a couple more spot readings. Make sure we're not getting a bad data sample. I'm going to try Oklahoma City. So we're looking for moisture depth problems there. It's a little better at Oklahoma City, but same problem there. We just haven't had enough time to recover that moisture. Let me go down to Austin. Austin, Texas. Now this definitely looks better there. But I don't know if this is going to be enough to help things on... Okay, I'm sorry, this is Tuesday. So yeah, Tuesday I'm not sure if we're going to have enough air mass recovery by then. So we move this forward. There's Wednesday morning. Looks like that cold front is already bolting southward. So that may be a problem. Looks like our front is kind of out of phase with the peak heating. If this was a 0Z chart, we would, I think, be looking at storms here for the evening time. So I think the problem here is not enough moisture in time to interact with that front. Wednesday may be a little bit different. Looks like we got a bit of a boundary right there, plenty of moisture. Let me take a look at the soundings around San Antonio. And Yeah, the moisture is a little bit better, 67-degree dew point, 850 showing about 55. However, there's a bit of a cap there. That's going to be an issue. So, if we work out our convective temperature, sorry, I know this is kind of a mess. I think we're looking at convective temperature there of about 92 Fahrenheit. So I don't know if we're going to be able to break that or not. Again, we're looking at Wednesday here. So we'll have to see. That's still kind of a ways off there. Looks like pressure fall starting once again in the desert southwest. So I think we've got a pretty active west to east system there. This is definitely not what you see with ridging. If we had ridging covering this area, we likely wouldn't have the strong moisture return coming up northward. So, yeah, let's see here. Moisture coming back up for Friday. And then for Saturday, looks like the systems will be something like that. Let me check out the soundings there for Friday evening at 6 p.m. there. I'm just sampling the warm sector there, and it looks like there is a substantial amount of capping. 700 millibar temperatures, 8 degrees Celsius, which is pretty high there. Also, lapse rates not too great up above that, but things could change. This is still about 5 days out. So we will have a frontal system in the area, Oklahoma and Texas there. There it is coming out for Saturday evening. So somewhere I think there may be a chance for some severe weather somewhere. It's just not clear to me where that's going to be. System moves out into the southeast for Sunday morning. So it looks like another chance coming up for Sunday, the 22nd. Maybe a chance of severe weather somewhere in that region right there. More cold air coming southward. However, it looks like low pressure up there in central Canada. So that's going to disrupt the polar air factory. So I think we're going to see a stop to all that cold air coming southward. And let's roll that forward. Looks like one little speck of cold air tries to move southeast from Alberta there. It's kind of a small outbreak there. And let's see here. Next chance for thunderstorms probably going to be about Friday the 27th. Thursday 26th, Friday 27th, somewhere around there. And moisture is coming back up big time. However, that's pretty far out. And it looks like we do regenerate some cold air. Well, I'll be dang. Another cold air mass. We'll have to see how that pans out. This is 360, 380 hours out. But, yeah, boy, we're having problems with that Hudson Bay vortex big time. Reminds me of 1997. We had a lot of that going on. And let me take a look at the chat. I'm going to have to scroll through this real quick. Just give me a second here. Doom Chaser asking about ocean heat content. Now, oceanography is not really my specialty, and I'm not too sure where the best charts are going to be. In fact, you probably know better sources than I do, but I'm sure the ocean heat content products are out there. I think we used one of them during hurricane season last year. I'm going to have to dig up those links as we get into this year's hurricane season. Mike Estwick asks, is there any advantage using altimeter setting versus sea level pressure? Yeah, there's two advantages there. With altimeter setting, you get better data density. In fact, let me bring up that chart so you can see what we're talking about. This is a plot with digital atmosphere here. And we're looking at altimeter setting. This is a 30.11 right there. at Altus, 30.13 at Ardmore, and 30.15 there at Eastland. However, in Digital Atmosphere and a couple of other websites online, you have the ability to change that. See, under this under station plots, you can change this from altimeter setting to sea level pressure. Now, a lot of websites online, they do use that sea level pressure. And what I would recommend is using altimeter setting wherever you can, because sea level pressure uses the past 24 hours of temperature readings to adjust the pressure result, the sea level pressure result. So that means it will tend to dampen out the effects of mesoscale disturbances moving across the area. In fact, that's kind of a feature of sea level pressure. They worked out this algorithm for computing it to try to get rid of that kind of small-scale noise and kind of even it out and make it so you could compare plots across a wide area. But with mesoscale analysis, we don't want that. We want to see the actual observed pressure, and that's what altimeter setting does give us. So that's going to be the main reason you might want to use that during severe weather. If you're just analyzing weather across the U.S., definitely go with sea level pressure, because there the noise is more of an impediment. Let's see here. Christian Flock, do you have a broadcast that goes more into depth on soundings? I think there might be one that we've done maybe a year or two ago. Maybe somebody here knows of one. But that's a great idea. I think we should do kind of a tutorial, like a little workshop, before we get into the bulk of severe weather season here. So I'll get Ray up going and we'll try taking a look at that. But on the daily webcast that we do here, we always do a sounding every day, like these little soundings here from University of Wyoming. So if you watch the webcast every day, and when we discuss these soundings, and you kind of, if you kind of follow along on that, you will gradually pick up a lot of knowledge, because I try to cover these things from a little different angle every day that we cover the weather here. Ryan Toomey says, above average hurricane season expected for 2018. And that's indeed the way things were looking there. I saw the, I think, December forecast. I haven't seen the revised April one. But Colorado State was going kind of bullish there on the hurricanes. And yeah, Mike just mentions the Denver convergence zone. That's a good thing to look up on web searches there. And let's see here. Strong moisture and dew points shooting up from the Gulf. Tropical tidbits. Thank you, Chris Tyne. And yeah, I'm going to have to get all my bookmarks in order, because I guess maybe in about 2 or 3 months we're going to be staring down the barrel here of hurricane season. I'm sure we're going to have a little bit of an early start if it's going to be above average, so we'll just have to see. Okay, well, that's about all I got for tonight. Not a whole lot going on, but things will be getting interesting as this frontal system makes its way west or east. And then when we do the webcast tomorrow, we should be able to narrow things down and take a look at things in Colorado there and watch our next system coming together. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back tomorrow for another edition of Meteorology Lab. So have a good evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.